Peace and love, creatives. Today we are painting with gouache. Yay! I am doing a no-buy year, so I decided to go shopping in my very many different art boxes that I own that has different kinds of art supplies that I store and hoard and never see again because they were from a subscription box, and for some reason I don't think I should use it again. So I whipped out these gouaches and we're going to paint with them. We're going to use Royal Talens gouache in ivory black, portrait pink, cobalt blue, alizarin crimson hue, and titanium white. And then we're going to use some Royal Talens gouache, and those colors are titanium white, Naples yellow red, permanent rose magenta, and light blue cyan. And I also have a Holbein permanent white gouache that I can add to the mix. Now, I don't know if I'm going to use all these colors, but I have them available for use if I need them. The paint brushes I'm going to use are a filbert size 4, kind of like a square, small square tip, a rounded square. And then a Hemi number 6, which is kind of just a straight square, a round number 2, Dagato, and a Royal Lang nickel number 10, and kind of like a edgy, a slanted square. I don't know what they're called. I'm so sorry. And the large black one is, the large number 10 is going to be used just to paint the entire sheet one color. I am going to retape the paper eventually. So my first thing I'm gonna do is do a background, and for some reason I want it really, really dark. I was going to play around with blue, but I have that black, the ivory black, and I was like, you know what, let's give that a whirl. So I water it down, get it to a nice consistency that I'm happy with, smack my camera with my paintbrush because it's like super long. And I lather that onto the paper. Now, if you can see the consistency on the gouache, it's kind of like a cross between heavy cream and yogurt. That's what I like, how I like to use my gouache. Now, gouache can be used in so many different ways, in different thicknesses. You just want to be careful that you don't lay it on too thick right away because it becomes cakey and it starts to crack, and you don't want that. But for this initial one, it's nice and thin. No cracking is happening with this. Once I've got the page completely covered in the ivory black gouache, I let that dry. Clean my paintbrush. Don't forget to clean your paintbrushes, guys, please. And then I whip out some Naples yellow red, and some, I want to say, what is that one? Light blue cyan from the Talens gouache that I have. Having a hard time opening it because the paint got it all stuck together, but I got it out. And with these colors, I'm trying to make a nice green color. I know they're not primary colors, but they're gonna get me a green that I'll be happy with. So first thing I do is get my pipette and add a little bit of water to an empty the empty plate there. Oh my god. And then I add a little bit of the Naples and a little bit of the light blue. Before I put it on the paper, I swatch it on just a swatch card just to see the color and how I feel about it. I feel like it's not dark enough, so I add a little bit more blue to get it to that darker consistency that I want, darker hue that I want. And then I start with my lines. There's the tape that I added just to give it a little bit more security. Now, these lines in the beginning had me a little worried because you know, I'll have something in my head and I'll see it one way. And then when I put it on a piece of paper, I want to throw it in the garbage. But I kept pushing through, and these little squiggly lines kept growing and forming and getting bigger and bigger and longer. And my overall goal at this point during this process was not clear. I knew where I wanted to end up, but I didn't know how to get there. And because I don't know the style of the pattern, like there's usually, you know, you got Art Deco and different kinds of, you got the Nouveau patterns, you have all these patterns, and if you know the name of them, you can search them up and get references and look at them and say, okay, this is how I want to do it. The only way I can like compare what I want on this piece of paper to anything else is kind of like wallpaper. Here my husband decided that he wanted to say hello and interrupt my painting session, so that he did, and then he went away. Where was I? Yes, wallpaper. So I am thinking, like, okay, I'm not a fan of that gaudy, all up in your face wallpaper with the flowers and so many designs that it looks like it's moving on the wall. But on a piece of paper, in a frame, I can do that. Like something small, like I can do that. So that's kind of what I want on this piece of paper. That's what I'm looking for. A flowery wallpaper type of pattern that you go to like grandma's house and you see and you're like, oh my God, grandma, you really need to change your paper. So at this point, I decide to take the blue and put 3 dots next to each other all the way down the paper, like from top to bottom. And this took a very long time. I think it took me an hour to get the dots on the paper. It might have even taken longer, but with the power of sped up editing, it takes what? 10 seconds, 20 seconds? You're welcome. So once I was done with that, I let it all dry, and I re-wet the red that I put out there, and I wanted to lighten it up. I felt like it was too much red of a color to put onto this paper, especially with the tones that I had already on the paper. So I put a little bit of white gouache in it, and then I felt like it was too pink, so I added a little bit more red, mixed it a little bit more, and I added a little bit more. Instead of the alizarin red, I used the permanent rose red magenta with the Talens, and it got me to a color that I was happy with. Now here I'm trying to get petals, and I'm trying to figure out how to manipulate the brush to give me the petals that I want. So once I figure out how to do the petals on my scrap, I go onto the paper and I start adding the petals. Now what I end up doing is taking the edge of the brush, instead of the front, like, you know, putting it down on the front, I take the edge, the long edge of the brush, I put it down and I kind of like swoop it, and that gave me those petals. And I put that all throughout the paper. And I really was happy with how it was turning out. I knew I wanted like a gold color in there, like a little bit of shimmer, a little bit of shine, and I just didn't know how to go about it. So I just let it dry, and I didn't do anything until the following day. This is the next day. And I was like, you know what? How about instead of using gouache, I use a little bit of the Liquitex gold that I have. And I was hesitant. I'm like, oh, what do I do? And I just put a line on each one of the petals, just one petal, just to give it a little bit of just something, just a little something. And I put that on each petal, and I felt like it was missing more gold. I wanted to add a little bit more gold. So what I did was I went around the edges with the gold, but I kind of made it look like it was old and vintagey. So I smudged it on purpose. And I liked the outcome. It came out really cute. And we're taking off the tape here, and yes, the tape got taken off and nothing got ripped. Hallelujah. So the Dollar Rowney gouache and the Talens gouache was really good. I had fun with it. I love the textures that the blue dots made on underneath the petals and the gold that I did afterwards. It was it's not only like pretty and I like the way it looks, but it also has like, you can feel it and touch it, and it has like a texture to it, and I love it. I want to thank you guys for watching. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and peace and love.